Yeah, so much for that NC massive assault going to Isa. You know, not when there's an empty Echo Valley with a Merc name on it.
They don't like us.
They don't like us. Do we have a
So that
or,
little intro you hear there, it really sort of frames the discussion of what I want to talk about today in my analysis video, which is dealing with the map at large in our operations and what we're looking for. We're starting off here with this situation where NC had the potential to pressure VS at the tech plant with a large force. Instead, they redeploy to Echo Valley with their force and decide to attack there against basically no TR. Meanwhile, TR and we were a part of a force attacking Madison Triumph, which then got outpopped by the VS at that very defensible location, leaving us with basically nobody at Echo Valley to defend against this NC attack at that location. So we had to redeploy and get over there. You can see me scouting. I'm going to just let you watch this for just a second.
You can start your redeploy still in the loading screen.
Oh, the NC
I didn't know
did
that.
not go for the ESA. They did not go for ESA.
Yeah, I know. We were talking about it. They decided to go to Echo Valley instead. And Geological Survey, which I guess that kind of makes sense.
Alright, now I'll be there for coming.
Okay.
So I'm showing this because there's an impact here between the smaller scale fight of what's happening and the larger map impact. In this situation, you can see that the NC weren't defending point very well and basically allowed me to buy some time off of their capture, which allowed for our guys to come and recapture. We recapture a point with about 8 seconds, but you know, in that tolerance of time, that's not a lot of time. So them not being particularly organized allowed us to make sure we had enough time to recapture safely. And this is one of the things that we like to do across maps, which is move as a group and quickly be able to resecure a base or attack and support an attack that would otherwise be faltering. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of discipline in order to be able to defend against a group of people that move as a team. And in terms of the map, it's a lot more difficult for teams to find fights that are interesting if you move as a group. But moving as a group is absolutely the most important thing to winning team fights, right? Like, if you're individuals trying to 1v1 people, yeah, sure, if you have a high skill cap and everyone is individually fighting one another, of course the more skilled group will win. But in team fights, part of the skill becomes in coordination of your group. And what we try and do across the larger map is to try and find fights where our coordination it plays an important role in how the fight goes. So we try and find fights that are fun for us, and typically those ones are going to be ones that have limited time for us to make an impact. Population generally will not be in our favor, or it will become about equal in favor when we arrive. Those are the types of fights that we like to find. And I will actually fast forward here shortly to show you the other type of fight that we like to cause, which is one where we incur a larger population to come to us. Specifically, not because we're going to capture a base, but because we want to fight a good fight for a period of time. And that gets me to another point about fights in general, which is no fight in Planetside will ever stay good for the entirety of like a long period of time. Every fight is transient. People come and go. The longer your fight exists, the larger it will get. And pretending that you can extend a fight forever to be in that sweet spot of what you enjoy is unrealistic. Moreover, it's unrealistic to also expect to not to play against teams that are playing together and as a group, and to pretend that you can continually do 1v1 infantry Bushido tactics in order to have, quote-unquote, the fun that you want, when clearly team fights are more important overall to strategy than 1v1 skill. And don't get me wrong, 1v1 skill is hugely important. Two teams with similar patterns of movement, the team with better skill will definitely have a strong advantage in that. But this is a large-scale game, so team play is a huge factor in how fights go. So let's go ahead and fast forward to what we do next after our defense at this location. You can see our numbers are coming up. and our victory is starting to roll over. Just one super quick note. If you notice, I checked the map at Pale Canyon to see if TR needed support there. They were, of course, over popping at that location, so we decided to basically move ahead and generate our own fight. Alright, so in the intervening time, what has happened is NC started to reassault the base with another Sunder from the southern position and try and take point. In the meantime, I moved into a position over at Sarah Listening Post and started to play the larger map. Alright, well, just quickly, some people might say, why would you end that fight there at Echo Valley then by assaulting Sarah Listening Post? And I have to say, that fight at Echo Valley was dead for all intents and purposes. The NC had already lost, they were already down in numbers, and despite the new Sunder being set up, TR still had overpop at that location. So by splitting off our force to start the hack here with our Bravo squad and Alpha squad to follow after, we basically allow ourselves to reset the fight to a new location and to challenge the NC to actually come to us. And TR in general aren't going to be able to move as quickly as we did, and as you see, they don't really follow up very strongly to our initiation here at this location. But that's okay. Our whole purpose here was to basically generate a fight that would be fun for a period of time. So let's go ahead and fast forward again and see what happens.
Oh shit.
So I'm going to come back to this in the next section when we finally die here, but you did see me check the map hopefully a few times in that fast forward section. I know it went really fast. Importantly, what I'm trying to get across is we are considering looking for other fights before this fight actually heated up. It's not very fun to sit around and do nothing, and patience is a virtue, I know that, but you want to be involved in the action. And so when we look for action, we do care about the quality of fight that we're looking at, and when we don't see one, we generate one. In this case, we're generating a fight we know we will lose, specifically to get a period of time where there's some action that we're interested in. In this case, we're interested in seeing how much infantry we could handle on this one point and basically see how long that could last. It's not going to play across the map the most important, but it still plays across the map in the sense that we do buy time off of the NC base here, that when they take this back, they will have time to recapture before they could reassault Echo Valley again. And as you can see, it gets sort of out of hand pretty quickly here, right? The NC is showing up at like 65%, 70% in order to basically kick us off this one point. And it's just a lot of fun for us to do this kind of stuff, even if it's not the most effective from a map standpoint, in the sense that we're not taking a point and we're not, quote-unquote, zerging with the rest of the TR. This is something that we do on a fairly regular basis when we can't find a fight that has both importance and sort of numbers that are appropriate for us to be involved with. So that's something to consider when you do look for fights, and what we do consider, which is how to find a fight that is both important and would be fun. And in the case where TR is sort of handling the other locations without our presence, or already overpopping fights, then we are allowed this ability to go out and generate fights that we're interested in doing.
I'm trying to free it up, man.
Alpha lost its beacon.
No, this was not a hold. As I said, like, look, they came to.
30, goddamn.
Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, you know, get on them.
Made him angry. Where are the TR at? Like, what the fuck is going on?
They're up at Anvari Barracks.
Why?
They have to 60% to take from Legionnaires, because, you know, Legionnaires are good in both skill and positioning. So.
But I need to find.
Pale Canyon's a really good base to do that, and I'm not sure if TR will be able to take that without even more pop.
It already stopped.
Yeah, no, I know.
Over here at Pale Canyon.
TR needs
So, yeah, there's a call for help. I mean,
the call for help is we need more
no
help
one
over
wants
here
to
at Pale
push
Canyon.
out of that goddamn crater there.
Well, that's it for me tonight, gang.
Later, Mungo.
Let him out.
Go scrub my memory of that docking.
So So there's a couple things I wanted to highlight in that clip, and first and foremost, just that it was a lot of fun holding out there on that point, knowing we weren't going to get Cero, but having a lot of fun in terms of drawing a large number of NC Force to our position in order to take us out. Now, of course, they weren't very organized, and that allows for us to take on way more people than if they were organized. On the flip side of that, you can sort of see the same situation happening over at Pale Canyon, where where TR were having trouble attacking into what was likely the Legionnaires, who are very strong both individually and as a team, and require large numbers of people to overcome. It's a situation where, like, sometimes we will respond to TR requesting for help, but in this situation, you see me looking at the map and deciding that our forces would be better spent to the growing NC force on the Eastern Front between Frostfall and Geological Survey. So, every situation is different, every situation is unique, and it's hard to choose sometimes about where you go, particularly when you do have people asking for additional support in locations that you think they should be winning at. Sometimes you go and support them because they request help, and it's good to do that. Sometimes you go and help out those locations because it's an important base, like Envari, and they seem to be losing it anyways. The crux of what's important is to realize there is a strength behind numbers, yes, but there's also strength behind teamwork and working as one cohesive unit, and there's also strength in skill. And when you have all of them on your side, that's when you're strongest and most frustrating to deal with. And as a result, you have the most control over what happens on the map, at least from an individual outfit standpoint. And you know, we can talk about larger meta and being involving other groups, but that doesn't really happen, and there's little point to that these days. But what I'm trying to get at is to find fights that you enjoy means to realize that not necessarily every fight is going to be the perfectly evenly matched numbers-based kind of fight. For us in this clip, I think the best fight was actually the one there at the NC, where we drew larger numbers of NC towards us. Now, you see this clip going on, it actually is going to be what I'm going to analyze next week, which is a discussion of our vehicle play and impacting a fight via that way. So stay tuned for that one. I'll look at that probably next Wednesday, so come back around that time, and hopefully you'll see some good stuff.